my brothers, my sisters. It is said that I hate les noms magiques. I do not hate them. I do not. Magic blooms only in rare souls.
It is the most magical time of the year, not because we're approaching Christmas, but because there's a new movie set in the magical world of Harry Potter out.
The Wizarding World.
The Wizarding World. We've seen it. I'm Tamoor, joined by Adam.
Right.
And we are going to break down the movie, our experience of watching it, our impressions of it. We're going to look at the story, the characters, the world.
We're going to look at the big revelations, of which there are quite a few in this film. So we're going to get into very much spoiler territory. So this is your last warning. If you haven't seen the film, we're going to be talking about everything in it, so go and check it out and, you know, come back and watch this, or if you don't give a shit about spoilers, just watch this.
But before we get into that, please remember to subscribe to GameSpot Universe and also go to GameSpot.com where we've got a written review for Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, which you can read, written by our very own Mike Rougeau. Okay, let's get into it. So Adam, what were your kind of thoughts and impressions of the movie walking away from it?
I have to say that I was incredibly disappointed. I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. I really enjoyed the first Fantastic Beasts film, and I think this one was an absolute mess.
I think one of the key concerns that we had, or the key takeaways that we had, was there were too many characters.
Yeah, like it just felt so overstuffed with like subplots, characters, like arcs, motivations, storylines. It was just a bombardment of of characters. That made it so hard to focus on like any one character. Like how Newt was sort of the main protagonist of the first film. He had quite a clear character, clear arc in that film. In this film, he just gets lost amongst the rest of the supporting cast.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is to do with the need to build the mythos in this kind of like spin-off universe.
The problem with that, I feel, is that this film feels like it's spinning plates. It's just a filler, right? In place of bigger things to come in movies 3, 4, and even 5. There's 5 planned sequels, or 5 in the whole franchise. So this film feels like it's very much set up. Characters that are coming from various different parts of the world are all brought into the mix, and we won't really see where they're going, their journeys pay off until the next film.
And the result of that, as you said, is there's a lot of just confusing storylines that are laying the groundwork for things that are going to happen maybe years in the future. But in this movie, just create this kind of convoluted mess thing that you just cannot untangle.
I think we should try and untangle it.
Let's try an effort. Yeah.
Break down, and the way we're going to do this is using Lego figures and
visual aids
to try and help you understand, because we really needed to.
It's going to be therapeutic.
Yeah, I think it will be. All right, well let's try and see how it goes.
Yeah. This one begins with Grindelwald, played by Lego Voldemort today, escaping, and he's off to France.
We pick up the action with Newt, and he is in the Ministry, and what they want from him is to go and capture Credence, who we find out is actually still alive and is being played by Harry Potter.
Yeah, they want Newt to join the Ministry so that he can basically go out and hunt Credence.
Newt's like, nah, I'm not doing that. He leaves and gets a calling card from Dumbledore, wants Newt to go to Paris as well. Yeah. Meanwhile, all right, these are all going over here. Meanwhile, Grindelwald, he is in Paris and he goes about starting his nefarious plans in Paris. Where do we go from here?
Where do we go? What happens after this?
Remember?
Oh, we're in Paris now. He's there to set up his plans.
Yeah.
He knows that.
All right, cool. So we're back at the tomb. Grindelwald then starts saying, "Oh, if you're with me, step into this blue fire that I just created. If you're not,
be gone."
So the upshot of this is that certain people do join Grindelwald.
Yeah.
So Queenie, can't believe this, she joins Grindelwald. Credence has gone over.
He's there.
Oh, we should also state that Lita
dies.
Yeah, so we're left with this lot here, and they go and visit Dumbledore at Hogwarts. But even more important, we find out that Grindelwald is in Austria, and he explains that Credence is not, in fact, Credence Barebone. He is Aurelius Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Just let that sit in.
He's a Dumbledore.
Okay, so let's talk about the characters, which we've already discussed is kind of one of the main problems with this film, and the fact that there's just too many. Let's talk about Newt, okay? Newt was like the main protagonist in the first film, and he is obviously back for the second film, but he is no longer, I feel, the star of these movies. I like how this doesn't really translate well to the second film. The first film, he was the anti-Harry Potter, right? He was not that brash, big, bold hero. He was quite understated, and he was very nervous around humans, which I really liked, and he only ever came alive with the beasts.
Exactly.
Especially in that suitcase scene that's like in the first film. I don't feel like we're seeing like that development of that character in any meaningful way in Crimes of Grindelwald, because he just gets lost in the mix.
Yeah, he's both lost and also like ill-equipped for the things that the movie wants him to do.
Yeah.
Like the idea of him undertaking the quest that Dumbledore gives him to effectively take on Grindelwald just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because he's made it very clear that he's not that kind of person. He says, I'm not an Auror, that's my brother.
Yeah.
If you'd ever had the pleasure to teach him, you'd know Newt is not a great follower of orders.
All right, well, let's talk about his foil, the antagonist, Grindelwald or Grindelwald.
Gus Griswold.
We know a lot about Grindelwald from the books, right? Like, there's a lot of backstory that's sort of there to mine from the books with his relationship with Dumbledore, and yet we're not really exploring any of that yet, which is kind of feels like what should be the meat of these films, and it kind of feels like it's just being very delicately touched at arm's length, and they don't want to really focus on it.
And like he talks about Dumbledore and says he's the only wizard in the world that can defeat me and stop me. But it's like done before the movie actually shows that there's a relationship between them.
One thing I do get on board with Grindelwald is like, he's not, he is evil, but like he's got like a rhetoric to him that's like, I can sort of understand, maybe not relate to because it's still evil, but like I like that he has that rhetoric, it's for the greater good, he is doing it for wizard kind.
Your name will be written in glory when wizards rule the world.
And he even says, I don't hate muggles, I'm indifferent to them, I don't think we should kill them, but they're the enemy. They're going to destroy us.
There's a scene where he gets a hookah pipe out and like takes a mad hit off it and then like blows the smoke, and it shows the vision of the future.
Yeah.
And it's like nuclear war and
Second World War.
Yeah, Second World War, and they're like, this is what's gonna happen if we don't get these muggles,
will get
nomads
us.
under control. And they're like, oh man, that sucks. We should probably do that. No.
I wish so let's talk a bit about Dumbledore as well now, because I think this movie really lacked that scene between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. I feel like that would have given it some kind of catalyst to help like that drama sort of feel a bit more realised.
You and Grindelwald were as close as brothers.
Oh, we were closer than brothers.
Yeah, what is the reason that they had this breakup? Like, what is the reason? They don't explore that in the film.
No, in the films, if you have not read the books, it would appear to be incredibly like it just drifted over, like just a piece of knowledge that is either assumed or just like not known.
Explored yet.
Not explored, yeah. But basically, in the books or in the backstory, they had a fight which resulted in like the death of Dumbledore's sister.
Yeah.
And that was all about like how their different ideologies were sort of diverting, and Grindelwald was like, "Oh, I'm doing it for the greater good," which is a saying of Dumbledore's that he completely misconstrued, and Dumbledore obviously doesn't like the way Grindelwald is doing things, so that's kind of the backstory of that. But none of that is explored in this film.
It's Professor X versus Magneto.
Yeah,
it's
but like
effectively without any of the kind of like intricate context that is required to show why that they explore Magneto in a way. They show him being like mistreated by humans, and that is why you kind of buy the ideology shift. Yeah. In this, it's not like never seen.
No.
You don't know why there's a schism between them.
Yeah, I did really kind of like Jude Law's young portrayal of Dumbledore. Yeah. I think like what he was doing with his performance was actually quite smart in the handful of scenes he's in. He's not in a lot of the film, but like I could see like notes of him sort of emulating or like taking from the performances of Richard Harris and Michael Gambon and like portraying that in a younger, still wise, but not as world or knowledgeable version of the character. And
It's like he takes that kind of like way that, like we said, like Dumbledore will give you pieces of information, and then let you draw the lines between them and figure out what the picture is.
He's still got that little twinkle in the eye, which is very like a Dumbledore trait, and I just wish there was more of that, his character and that dynamic and that relationship with Grindelwald.
In the future, we're pretty sure that there's going to be movies centered more around him. He's going to take prominence. And if there's one takeaway from this movie, it's that at the very least, we've got a good Dumbledore, young Dumbledore performance in the future at some point.
Got that to look forward to.
An address. What's that? A safe house in Paris.
Why would I need a safe house in Paris?
Should things at some point go terribly wrong.
So the final major character that's important to the overall story is Credence.
Yes.
Now, like we said, this character died at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
He's back. Unexplained how he's returned.
No, that's
as far as
still a
I can tell,
mystery.
he's back, and it's not like he's back in his like weird, ghostly, like dark energy form. He's physically manifesting as his original self. He is embodied Ezra Miller.
Credence in this film, like, is super important, but super underappreciated in the narrative or the script. Like, he's just not given enough scenes for us to understand either his plight, which is to find out his identity, or to really empathize or care about him, like, as a character. Like, you could kind of get some of that in the first film when he was so like poorly treated by the orphanage. But this film just doesn't do that, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. There was potential in bringing him back. Like, it could have been a Credence Clearwater revival. He's not captivating in any way, he's just really frustrating. He also drags down other characters, like Nagini, for example. Didn't need to be in this movie. This is an incredibly important character to the Harry Potter universe.
Definitely.
Voldemort puts part of his soul into the snake. In this movie, she's just like this girl who's in a circus, and her only role is to basically let Credence cry into her shoulder.
And I think the only reason that she's there right now is that at the end she doesn't side with Grindelwald, like whereas Credence does. So she provides like maybe a counter for him to go, oh, maybe I'm not evil because I've got my pal Nagini who's on the other side.
Maybe it's a case of her arc is she's going to save Credence, but in doing so, her life will end where she's become the snake and effectively been corrupted and eventually becomes this vessel for the ultimate evil in the Harry Potter universe, which is an interesting arc.
Yeah.
But right now, that's an arc that I've created in my head, not one that J.K. Rowling has written into the story. She's one of many forgettable characters, and like that's the way we deal with the rest of the characters. Theseus, the brother, is supposed to be a war hero. So you effectively think he's capable commander, he's like a general of some sort, he's amazing with magic. He's not.
So we've got Theseus, who is engaged also to Lita Lestrange, who is also a childhood friend of Newt.
So she's bullied at school because she's Lestrange and Lestrange are weird. Newt is an outsider as well. They connect. He believes, or maybe she believes, that they have this romantic bond forming. That breaks apart. She gets engaged to his brother, and then that becomes a plot point in the love triangle. But her role in this movie is to be angsty up until the point where she needs to explain the convoluted switcheroo between her brother and Credence and
Corvus.
The Dumbledores and Corvus and all that business.
Yeah.
So she is just there biding time for that
She's
revival.
literally Basil exposition in this film, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Returning characters. So we've got Tina, who's returning from the first film, and she's got a very weak story in this one. She's basically there in Paris hunting Credence.
Yeah, she's an aura.
Yeah, and she doesn't really have much of an arc in any way.
I'm here, I'm still here, I'm the same person. I've got a new jacket, it's leather, let's rock.
New haircut as well. Then we've got Queenie and Jacob, who just return.
Her only motivation, Queenie's one, is to love Jacob, and Jacob's one is to love her. But they have like she wants to get married, he can't get married to her because it causes problems.
Yeah.
That is it.
I like Dan Fogler's performance in this. He's still likable, he still says some vaguely funny stuff, but like, he is doing nothing in this film.
Yeah.
Because he was the audience surrogate in the first film, right? He was the person, sort of the way into that magical world in America. And we don't need that in this film.
Queenie was there as well. This could have been a moment for Queenie to develop and progress. She had this moment where she loved this character, this man, and it didn't work out. Maybe an attempt to take her from being this kind of ditzy character into something aspiring to be like her sister.
I think it's safe to say that both mine and Tam's favourite character in this film is the Niffler.
Niffler is 100% the best character.
Yep.
It's got clear motivations,
Yep.
consistency. Its characterization is like whole, proves himself to be the most useful, most powerful entity in that film. Take all the 12, 16, whatever his characters off the poster. Someone Photoshop this for me. Just get that poster, remove everyone, and just put the Niffler there. So Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald has quite a few big revelations that change or impact the wider Harry Potter universe and its lore in quite a significant way. But instead of kind of deepening it and fleshing it out, it seems like most of them are plot inconsistencies, contradictions, and undermining and retroactively like changing things
in the canon.
In a way that feels quite upsetting.
So I mean, the first big revelation we've got is Credence is not Credence, he is Aurelius Dumbledore. He is a secret Dumbledore.
Unnamed Jon Snow of a Dumbledore.
Yeah.
So this happens once we learn that once Dumbledore gets the blood pact, and he's like, I think I can break this. So effectively he's gearing up to fight Credence and Grindelwald. And in that moment, Grindelwald tells Credence or Aurelius Dumbledore that your brother is now trying to kill you. So it's clear that the movie wants us to believe that he is a Dumbledore sibling.
But this is where, like, and if you do, as you said, a little bit of research, you can actually find out that the timelines don't really match up in any way here. So, like, as we can see in this film, or as we can take it, Dumbledore is about 45 in Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. And we can probably safely assume that Credence would be in his mid-20s, early to mid-20s. And if you look at the knowledge that we have from the books about the Dumbledore family, these ages don't really match up. So what we do know is the Dumbledore family was made up of Percival, the dad, Kendra, the mum, Albus, brother Aberforth, and sister Ariana Grande.
She's got no more tears to cry.
What we do know about the history of this family is that the year before Albus goes to Hogwarts, his dad Percival actually gets sent to Azkaban. For basically
attacking a group of muggles. For attacking his daughter.
So he's in Azkaban, and we know that he never gets out. He
dies
there.
in Azkaban.
And then his Albus's mum Kendra dies when Albus is 17 to 18, so still at Hogwarts. And basically the upshot there is that there are no more parents to conceive another child.
No one is shagging to make a new Dumbledore. So it's not possible.
So how does that make Aurelius Dumbledore's brother? There's a lot of theories kind of.
The only way he can be a Dumbledore is if he is a son.
That's one theory. There's a couple. So there's one theory that he might be Albus's or even Aberforth's son. There's another theory that he could be. There's an aunt of Albus and Aberforth that we hear about in the book. There's people that think that he could be the son of that aunt.
That doesn't make him his brother, though.
No, that doesn't at all. But this is the theory that I actually quite like, and it's that...
J.K. Rowling dropped the ball and just made up.
It's nonsense. Is that the Obscurus that is part of Credence was potentially part of Ariana before him. So the illness that Ariana had and died... It's not confirmed to be an Obscurus, but it sounds a lot like that. So there's a theory that says that when the Obscurus killed Ariana, it then
needed a new host.
Took over Credence. And so that would make that line, your brother's trying to kill you, that's not being delivered to Credence, it's being delivered to the Obscurus, which is Ariana. So what complicates this even more is the baby
randomness.
switching.
So Leta Lestrange has a brother who is sent with her to New York by their father. The baby is a crybaby, and she's been driven mad. She puts him down next to another baby. And then...
Which is Credence.
Which is Credence. And she's like, I just wanted a minute to myself. She picks up the baby. It's the other baby instead of her brother. And she seems to do this knowingly. They get off this sinking ship. That baby, who's her brother, drowns and dies. They now have Credence, who is a Dumbledore.
So how would he ever be close to Ariana and the actual Dumbledores.
Yeah, and like
were the Dumbledores on that boat as well? Like, if their baby's there, then were they there, and did they drown?
Yeah, because the
They
woman
didn't
who
drown.
tries to grab the baby, like, she's not made any sort of like. There's no focus on her as well. She just looks like a random woman.
Yeah.
And like, there's like on top of that, there's like this random element of it, like the coincidence. And like I said it before, in a world of magic, this seems so unbelievable, says a lot. Like, this is such a coincidence and such an unbelievable contrivance that it sticks out in a world where people can make spells come out of wands and do crazy, insane stuff with magic.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't buy it at all.
One answer that the Crimes of Grindelwald actually gives us is the reason why Dumbledore will not fight or act out against Grindelwald, and that is because they made a blood pact, which seems to be a new sort of form of magic for this film.
Yeah, it's mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, in this film. I don't think
In
it's
this film, in reference to another character who we've not spoken to about once because he's useless. His name is Yusuf. And he was believed to be like a rival family to the Lestranges.
Yeah.
And he is the son of the mother, of Lita's mother, because the Lestrange father, the dude Lestrange, forgot his name now, basically used a spell on her to steal her away, and then kind of kidnapped her and kept her under spell and had a child with her, who is Lita.
I totally forgotten about all of that.
And the son, and that's Yusuf, and he has a blood pact.
Yes.
To, I think they never explain what the blood pact is, but I think it is a blood pact with her father, with his father, to hunt down the Lestranges. Or the Lestrange boy and kill him.
Yeah, basically though, the blood pact is kind of like very similar to the unbreakable vow, which we have seen in the books and the films, where, you know, something needs to be done, and if it doesn't get done, people will die.
Bad stuff will happen.
Bad stuff will happen. What this does to the Grindelwald-Dumbledore relationship, though, is I think it really simplifies it and takes away quite a lot of the nuance that could have been there in that relationship. You know, like Dumbledore could, like, the reasoning behind him not acting against Grindelwald could have been so much more interesting if it was something to do with, you know, his conflicting emotions with, you know, his love for that character, or his love for his
friend, maybe boyfriend.
Maybe boyfriend.
Yeah.
Versus his, you know, his regrets for the direction that Grindelwald is going in.
And at the same time, like, the issue of the dead sister.
Yes,
like that complicates them, because they were all there at the time.
Yeah,
and
the duel where...
believe that the duel is what killed her.
Yeah.
And like, it could have been a battle of ideologies instead of a MacGuffin that's keeping them from actively fighting each other, which is just a really crap way. It's so rubbish that it makes me feel like J.K. Rowling didn't come up with it. And like, we're used to seeing her do really strong writing in the books.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing she thrives at, right? Like, creating these really tricky dynamics between characters that prevent them from doing a thing that makes perfect sense to do, and it's only natural. Preventing Dumbledore from fighting, Dumbledore, one of the most powerful magicians in wizards in that world, from fighting one of the most evil ones. It's a thing instead of a battle of ideologies.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. So one of the things that this movie does, it relies heavily on nostalgia, with good reason, because it doesn't have anything else of its own going on, so we head back to Hogwarts.
Yes.
And mixture of emotions there, but we get to see a lot of familiar things while we're there.
Yeah, so we get to see the Mirror of Erised again, which very much ties it into Dumbledore's character. We saw that obviously in the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone for you Yanks. We saw the Boggart again, and we got a final answer. Well, we got an answer as to why Dumbledore is teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts in this film. That's what apparently he originally taught, and he was actually banned by the Ministry from teaching it in this film. And that's probably why he becomes a Transfiguration teacher, as is stated in the books. We get to see these Harry Potter sort of
callbacks and
callbacks, and that's nice. I actually like seeing the Mirror of Erised, although it kind of, the way it was working was very weird, wasn't it? How like it was sort of showing more a memory than a desire, which is how it's supposed to work. So that was a bit bizarre. But one character that made a return, don't know how, but she's in this, is Minerva McGonagall, who we see both, I think, briefly during the Ministry's intervention at Hogwarts, and
during an extended flashback segment
with Newt.
with Newt and Lita. Again, a thing that is in here to kind of pander almost feels like, because it's not possible.
Yeah, the plot inconsistency klaxon's going again, because like, so again, going to the timeline and the years of these films are set in.
Stick with us.
Yeah, we'll get through it. So this film obviously is set in 1927. We found out from McGonagall in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which is set in the 95, 96 sort of years, that she was been teaching at Hogwarts for 39 years this past December, or this coming December, which would put her starting as a teacher at Hogwarts in 1956.
Yeah.
And
So-
which is 30 years
Before,
after this film.
Yeah, after this film. She couldn't be there.
No.
During that scene.
I don't understand how
it's not possible. That is the worst kind of fan service, when it's completely wrong and you're inviting your fans to actively dislike what you want. Unless J.K. Rowling is planning some heavy duty retconning.
Yeah.
This is all over the place, to the point where, like I was saying earlier, it feels like she couldn't have done this.
No.
It feels like this is the kind of thing that innately she'd know. She's the creator of this universe. She's either really dropped the ball here, or she's planning for things that don't make sense and aren't being like properly earned right now.
I know, like any fan, and there's going to be a lot of them over the next like couple of weeks, really sort of digging into this film, are going to find these inconsistencies.
And they are very much aware of these things around, because like in the lead up, there's been discussions about, this film has things that change the Harry Potter universe in a quite a big way.
Yeah.
And I feel like those discussions are coming from a good faith perspective or starting point, as this is going to flesh it out.
Yeah.
They're very slowly going to realize this actually undermines a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's probably the harshest thing that you can say about that film. Like, it undoes so much of what Harry Potter is popular for and loves for. So there you have it, our raw, honest, comprehensive thoughts about Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
I feel like this has been a therapeutic session.
It has,
for me.
yeah. If you have any personal takes on it, please let us know in the comments below. If you're noticing things that we've missed, either explaining things that we're upset about or kind of further exposing the truth behind them, put them in the comments. If you want to read a written review of the movie, please go to GameSpot.com. And in the meantime, make sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Tamoor.
I'm at Adam Rees-Mace.
He never uses Twitter, but if you spam him with your Harry Potter hot takes, maybe he'll come back. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time a movie upsets us on this level.